Hey everyone, before you sit the exam, you need MFA, IAM Identity Center, Federation, and Cognito cold. 10-ish minutes from now, you'll have it. Let's move. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which Amazon Web Services identity service to pick when someone needs to sign in, whether that someone is your employee or a customer of your application. We'll cover MFA, IAM Identity Center, Identity Federation, and Amazon Cognito, plus a quick stop at Amazon Web Services Directory Service. The single most common identity mistake people make is mixing up Cognito and Identity Center, so we'll spend extra time drawing that line clearly. Before we go further, a quick recap of the IAM primitives, users, groups, roles, and policies, and how roles hand out short-lived credentials through STS instead of long-lived access keys. That works beautifully inside one Amazon Web Services account. But once you have many accounts, or once you need to authenticate actual customers of an application, raw IAM stops scaling. That's the gap we're filling today. 5 terms to pin down before we get into the mechanics. MFA is a second verification factor on top of your password, an app code, a hardware token, or a FIDO security key. IAM Identity Center is Amazon Web Services' centralized workforce single sign-on across many accounts. Identity Federation is the pattern where an outside identity provider authenticates the user and Amazon Web Services trusts that assertion. Amazon Cognito is the customer identity service for your own web and mobile apps, and Amazon Web Services Directory Service is managed Active Directory inside Amazon Web Services, for joining EC2 instances to a domain or running AD-aware workloads. Picture the situation at CodeGorillas. The consultancy has 40 active client Amazon Web Services accounts, and dozens of consultants who need access to different subsets of those accounts. On top of that, several clients are building consumer-facing web and mobile apps that need their own customer login flows. If you tried to solve both problems with raw IAM users, you'd be creating thousands of credentials, copying policies between accounts, and praying nobody forgets to deprovision someone on their last day. There's a better way for each of these two problems, and they are not the same service. Before we look at any service, internalize this one scenario. Who is the user? Is this person an employee of your company, a consultant, an admin, an engineer, someone who needs to sign in to Amazon Web Services to do their job? Or is this person a customer of an application you're building, someone signing up to shop, stream, or play? That single question picks the right service almost every time, and once you have it as a reflex, this becomes your fastest decision point. Let's start with MFA, because it layers on top of everything else we'll discuss. MFA means a second verification factor in addition to your password. Amazon Web Services supports 3 flavors. The first is a virtual authenticator app on your phone that generates a rotating 6-digit code. The second is a hardware token that does the same thing in a small physical device. And the third, which is now Amazon Web Services' preferred option, is a FIDO security key or a passkey, a phishing-resistant factor based on public key cryptography, either as a physical key like a YubiKey or a synced passkey in a credential manager. Here's the mental model. Your password is the key to your front door. MFA is the deadbolt above it, and that deadbolt only opens with your thumbprint. Even if someone copies your key, fishes your password, finds it in a breach dump, they still can't get past the deadbolt. That separation between something you know and something you have is what makes the second factor so powerful. Research consistently shows that MFA prevents over 99% of password-based attacks. That number is striking. There is almost no other single security control you can turn on in an afternoon that moves the needle this much. If you take one thing from this whole video into your job tomorrow, it's that every privileged account at every company you touch should have MFA on it, full stop. On the root user, MFA is no longer optional. As of June 2025, Amazon Web Services enforces MFA on root users across all account types, You literally cannot sign in as root without it. Beyond root, Amazon Web Services strongly recommends MFA on every privileged IAM user, and the preferred factor is now a FIDO key or a passkey because they're phishing resistant. One nice operational detail: you can attach up to 8 MFA devices to a single user, which means you can register a backup key and store it somewhere safe in case the primary one is lost. Here's the layout for the rest of this video. MFA sits on its own. It strengthens any sign-in, no matter which of the other tools you're using. Then on the workforce side, the side where the user is your employee, you have IAM Identity Center for centralized single sign-on across many Amazon Web Services accounts, and Federation as the pattern that lets a corporate directory drive that sign-in. And on the customer side, Cognito handles end users of your web and mobile applications. 4 tools, 4 jobs, and the dividing line at the bottom is exactly the question we just asked. Let's start with the workforce side. IAM Identity Center is Amazon Web Services' centralized single sign-on service for your workforce across many Amazon Web Services accounts. Quick naming note: this service used to be called Amazon Web Services SSO, and it was renamed to IAM Identity Center in July 2022 with no functional change. From the same login, your employees can also reach external software as a service apps like Salesforce or Slack. You can connect it to an external identity source like Okta or Microsoft Entra ID, or use its built-in user directory if you don't have one yet. Here's how Amazon Web Services describes it in their own documentation. IAM Identity Center is the recommended service for managing your workforce's access to Amazon Web Services applications. It connects your existing identity source once and gives your applications a common view of your users. That word "recommended" matters. When Amazon Web Services uses it, they're telling you which service to default to. For workforce access, this is the front door. Here's the analogy that makes this stick. Raw IAM, the way we used it in episode 8, is like giving every employee a separate physical key for every office in every building. CodeGorillas has 40 client accounts, so that's 40 keys per consultant. IAM Identity Center is the corporate badge system. 1 badge per person, and central admin decides which doors that badge opens. Best of all, when someone leaves the company, you deactivate the badge once and they're locked out everywhere. The mechanism that makes the badge model work is called a permission set. A permission set is a reusable template of IAM policies: read-only, power user, billing admin, whatever you need. You define it once at the organization level, and then you assign it to a group, not to individual users. Once that's done, the same permission set can apply across every account in your Amazon Web Services organization. Assigning to groups rather than individuals is the documented best practice. Assigning per user recreates exactly the sprawl that Identity Center is supposed to solve. Here's CodeGorillas with Identity Center in place. A consultant signs in once with their corporate credentials. Identity Center looks at which groups they're in and which permission sets are assigned to those groups, and shows them a portal listing exactly the client accounts they're allowed to enter, each with the right permission level, maybe read-only on client 1, power user on client 2, admin on client 3. When that consultant rolls off the engagement, you remove them from the group, and access disappears from every account at once. No going around to each account to clean up. Quick naming reminder, because you will hit this in tutorials, blog posts, and older documentation. Amazon Web Services SSO and IAM Identity Center are the same service. The rename happened on July 26, 2022. Plenty of older docs, infrastructure as code examples, and study guides still say Amazon Web Services SSO. Whenever you see the successor to Amazon Web Services SSO, or just Amazon Web Services SSO outright, the right name is IAM Identity Center. Now for Federation, which is the pattern underneath a lot of workforce sign-in. The idea is that an external identity provider, your corporate Active Directory, Okta, Microsoft Entra ID authenticates the user. Amazon Web Services doesn't run that authentication. Amazon Web Services just trusts the assertion that comes back, signed by the identity provider. The user then assumes an IAM role through STS and gets temporary credentials. No IAM user is created on the Amazon Web Services side. The protocol that wires this together for workforce scenarios is called SAML, Security Assertion Markup Language, version 2. Think of it like showing a driver's license at a bar. The bar doesn't issue IDs, and the bartender doesn't personally know you, but the bar trusts your state's Department of Motor Vehicles. Show the license, the bartender accepts it, you're in, no second ID required. Federation does the same thing. Amazon Web Services trusts your corporate directory the way the bar trusts the DMV, and your existing identity becomes the way in. Here's the flow end to end. The user starts at the corporate identity provider, Active Directory, Okta, or Entra ID, and authenticates there with their normal corporate credentials. The identity provider sends back a signed SAML assertion that says yes, this person is who they claim to be, and here are their group memberships. Amazon Web Services reads that assertion, lets the user call assume role on STS, and hands back temporary credentials tied to an IAM role. No new IAM user is created, no second password to manage, and when HR deactivates the employee in the corporate directory, their Amazon Web Services access disappears with no extra cleanup. Here's the modern twist. You can still configure raw IAM SAML federation by registering a SAML provider in each account and mapping roles by hand. It works, and it's been there for years. But for multi-account workforce access, Amazon Web Services now recommends going through IAM Identity Center. You connect Okta or Entra ID or your Active Directory to Identity Center once. Identity Center handles the SAML plumbing internally, and from your side, you're just assigning groups to permission sets. So on the exam, if you see SAML plus multiple Amazon Web Services accounts, Identity Center is almost always the right answer. Now we cross the dividing line. Amazon Cognito is the service you reach for when you're building a web app or a mobile app, and you need to authenticate the people who use that app: customers, members, players, the end users of the product, not the engineers who built it. Employees belong in IAM Identity Center because their identities are tied to a workforce directory and to Amazon Web Services account access. Cognito handles a fundamentally different population, the people on the other side of your application's login screen. What does Cognito actually do? It runs the sign up, sign in, and password reset flows for your application. It supports social login through Google, Facebook, and Apple, and it can federate to other identity providers via SAML or OpenID Connect, also known as OIDC. After a successful login, Cognito issues JSON Web Tokens, JWTs, that your application uses to identify the user on subsequent requests. And optionally, Cognito can also hand out temporary Amazon Web Services credentials so a mobile client can call Amazon Web Services services like S3 or DynamoDB directly. Cognito has two halves, and they answer two different questions. A user pool answers who are you. It's a managed user directory that handles sign up, sign in, and MFA for your application's users, and it issues JWT tokens that your app validates. An identity pool answers a different question: what Amazon Web Services resources can you touch? It takes a verified identity, whether from a user pool, from Google, or from a SAML provider, and exchanges it for temporary credentials from STS. That's what lets a mobile app call S3 or DynamoDB or IoT Core directly. Authentication on the left, authorization to Amazon Web Services on the right. Amazon Web Services puts it as concisely as possible in their own knowledge center. Amazon Cognito user pools are for authentication. Amazon Cognito identity pools are for authorization. 2 sentences, 2 pools, 2 jobs. If you remember nothing else about Cognito internals, remember this split. The analogy that locks this in: a user pool is the receptionist in the lobby. They check your ID, confirm who you are, and hand you a visitor badge. An identity pool is the elevator. It reads your badge and decides which floors of the Amazon Web Services building you're allowed to reach. The receptionist is about identity. The elevator is about which doors that identity opens. Two completely different jobs, even though they're inside the same building called Cognito. Picture two completely different sign-in screens at Nexa Retail. One is the internal portal where engineers and analysts log in to reach Amazon Web Services accounts. That's IAM Identity Center on the left, tied to the corporate directory, scoped to workforce, consultants, and admins, with queues like single sign-on, multi-account, SAML, and corporate directory. The other is the shopping site where customers create accounts, reset passwords, and sign in with Google or Apple. That's Cognito on the right, scoped to the end users of the web or mobile app, with queues like sign-up flows, social login, and mobile app. These are two different populations with two different life cycles, which is why Amazon Web Services gives them two different services. Worth noting, picking Cognito for workforce single sign-on is one of the more common mix-ups teams make on real projects. The reason these are two separate services comes down to lifecycle. Employees get onboarded through HR, mapped to groups in a corporate directory, granted permission sets across many Amazon Web Services accounts, and eventually offboarded when they leave. That's what Identity Center is built for: workforce identity at scale, federated from the directory you already run. Customers, on the other hand, sign themselves up through your app, log in with an email or a social provider, and need tokens scoped to your application's API, not to Amazon Web Services accounts. Cognito is built for that customer onboarding flow and for app-level identity. Different populations, different life cycles, different services. Last service in our tour: Amazon Web Services Directory Service. This one is managed Active Directory inside Amazon Web Services, and it shows up in a very specific set of scenarios. You use it to join EC2 Windows instances to a domain. You use it to power AD-aware workloads like RDS for SQL Server or FSX for Windows file shares, which simply expect Active Directory to exist on the network. And you use it to extend or replace your on-premises Active Directory. Think of it as the answer whenever a scenario mentions domain join or AD-aware. Directory service comes in three flavors, and there's a useful way to picture them. Managed Microsoft AD is a full house that Amazon Web Services builds and runs for you. Actual Microsoft Active Directory, fully managed, with full features including schema extensions. It's the default pick for AD-aware workloads, and it's required for RDS for SQL Server, though self-managed Active Directory also works there. AD Connector is a window into a house you already own, a thin proxy back to on-premises Active Directory, with no credentials stored in Amazon Web Services. And Simple AD is a small cottage that looks like the house from a distance but is missing most of the rooms. Lightweight, no MFA, no trust relationships, capped around 5,000 users. One decision rule worth pinning down: AD Connector does not work with RDS for SQL Server or FSX for Windows. Those workloads need a real directory, which means managed Microsoft AD or self-managed Active Directory. Here's the whole topic as a single decision tree. Start by asking who the user is. If it's an employee, ask whether you need multi-account access or you're reusing a corporate directory. Multi-account workforce points to Identity Center. Reusing a corporate directory points to federation, which in practice almost always means going through Identity Center anyway. If the user is a customer of your application, you're in Cognito territory. And if the question is actually about an EC2 instance needing to join a domain, or an AD-aware workload, that's Amazon Web Services Directory Service. And on every privileged sign-in in any of these paths, turn on MFA. Each of these phrases is an architectural cue, not a memorization drill. When a scenario mentions an existing Active Directory, Okta, or Entra ID that tells you credentials and identity records already exist outside Amazon Web Services, so federation through Identity Center avoids duplicating that directory. When you see web app, mobile app, sign-up flow, or social login like Google or Facebook, the workload is authenticating end users of an application, which is exactly what Cognito is built for. Phrases like join EC2 to a domain, RDS for SQL Server, or FSX for Windows require a real domain controller running Kerberos and LDAP, and that means Amazon Web Services managed Microsoft AD. When the scenario centers on workforce, employees, multi-account access, or SAML, you're describing the workforce lifecycle that Identity Center is designed to manage. And if a scenario references the successor to Amazon Web Services SSO, that's just the older name for the same service. Reading these phrases as architectural signals, rather than keywords to match, is what lets you route a question to the right service quickly. 5 things to walk away with. MFA is mandatory on the root user and strongly recommended on every privileged account. IAM Identity Center is the front door for workforce access across many Amazon Web Services accounts, with permission sets assigned to groups. Federation lets your corporate directory authenticate users so Amazon Web Services never has to create IAM users for them. Cognito is for the end users of your application, never your employees. And Amazon Web Services Directory Service is the answer when an EC2 instance needs to join a domain or an AD-aware workload needs Active Directory. Now let's test how well that landed with a quick 5-question quiz. Alright, time to put your knowledge to the test. Question 1. A consulting firm has 40 Amazon Web Services accounts spread across different clients. They want their consultants to sign in once with their existing corporate credentials and access only the client accounts they're assigned to. Which Amazon Web Services service should they use? A. Amazon Cognito User Pools. B. Amazon Web Services IAM Identity Center. C. Amazon Web Services Directory Service Simple AD. Or D. Separate IAM users in each account. Pause here if you want more time. This one is B. IAM Identity Center. It's Amazon Web Services recommended service for workforce single sign-on across many Amazon Web Services accounts, with permission sets assigned to groups. Cognito would be wrong here because consultants are employees, not application customers, and separate IAM users in each account is exactly the sprawl Identity Center exists to eliminate. Question 2. A startup is launching a mobile app where customers sign up with email or use Google or Apple login. The app needs to issue tokens to identify users on each request. Which Amazon Web Services service is the right fit? A. Amazon Web Services IAM Identity Center. B. Amazon Web Services Directory Service. C. Amazon Cognito. Or D. IAM users with access keys. Lock in your answer before I give it away. The right call here is C. Amazon Cognito. The cues are unmistakable: mobile app, customer sign-up, social login, and token issuance. That's exactly what Cognito user pools do. Identity Center would be wrong because the users are customers, not employees, and IAM users with access keys would be a security nightmare at consumer scale. Question 3. A company runs RDS for SQL Server and FSX for Windows File Server, and needs to join its Windows EC2 fleet to an Active Directory domain. Which Amazon Web Services Directory Service option should they choose? A. AD Connector. B. Simple AD. C. Amazon Cognito Identity Pools. Or D. Amazon Web Services Managed Microsoft AD. Think about which constraint matters most here. It has to be D. Amazon Web Services Managed Microsoft AD, and here's why. RDS for SQL Server and FSX for Windows are AD-aware workloads that require real Microsoft Active Directory, AD Connector explicitly does not support them. It's just a proxy back to on-premises AD. Simple AD lacks the features, and Cognito has nothing to do with domain join. Question 4. An enterprise already uses Okta as its corporate identity provider. It wants employees to sign in to Amazon Web Services using their existing Okta credentials without creating a separate Amazon Web Services password. Which approach best fits? A. Federate Okta to Amazon Web Services using SAML version 2, typically through IAM Identity Center. B. Create IAM users for every Okta user and sync passwords manually. C. Use Amazon Cognito user pools as the front door for employees. Or D. Migrate all employees to Amazon Web Services managed Microsoft AD Run, the decision rule from earlier before you answer. The answer is A. Federation via SAML version 2 is exactly the pattern where the corporate identity provider authenticates the user and Amazon Web Services trusts the assertion, no second password, no IAM users. For multi-account access, Amazon Web Services recommends wiring that federation through IAM Identity Center. Cognito would be wrong because these are employees, not application customers. Question 5. A company uses Amazon Web Services managed Microsoft AD and wants to run RDS for SQL Server with Windows Authentication. A junior engineer suggests using AD Connector instead to save cost. What's the problem with that suggestion? A. AD Connector caps at 5,000 users, which is too few for SQL Server. B. AD Connector is a proxy and does not support RDS for SQL Server. C. AD Connector requires MFA to be disabled on the source directory. Or D. AD Connector cannot issue SAML assertions to RDS. Lock in your answer before I give it away. It has to be B, and here's why. AD Connector is just a window back to your on-premises Active Directory. It's a proxy, not a real directory in Amazon Web Services. RDS for SQL Server and FSX for Windows both need a real directory they can talk to, which means managed Microsoft AD or self-managed AD. The 5,000 user cap in option A is a real limit, but that's on simple AD, not on AD Connector. Wrap on MFA, IAM Identity Center, Federation, and Cognito. Quick favor, drop a comment with the part that surprised you. It genuinely shapes the next videos. See you there.